What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Coinbros. It is Monday, the 16th, and we are going to talk about what's going down in the market. Like every single day, make sure you like, subscribe. A lot of good stuff happening in the market, crazy stuff happening in the world, but when is there not crazy things happening in the world, right? But there's some really crazy stuff going down in the world. We'll talk a bit about that. Let's just get right into Bitcoin. Right now is about 73, 74K. We were talking about this all last week. We want to break that 74K range, right? And if we do, we're shooting most likely like right past 80. So there's some really cool stuff here that I pulled up this morning that's pretty bullish, to be honest. And we'll go over some quick stories, all right? So obviously Bitcoin's doing pretty well. Let's try to hope like this week we crack past that 74, 75 range, and we can just imagine if 60K was the bottom, man, you know? Who knows, right? But, whenever there's stuff going on in the world, like war and stuff, Bitcoin tends to perform. And same thing happened with COVID. When COVID hit years and years ago, it's actually really good for the market. You never want to see bad things happen in the world, but it's kind of a hedge against chaos, like I was saying. So when it comes to crypto, seems to do better when the world's in turmoil. So I guess there's some positives here and there. Okay, so what do we got here? ETF flows. So there was a bunch of whales buying ETH today. If you look at ETH's doing pretty well. ETH is up like almost 8% today, which is good to see because ETH has underperformed. But a lot of big whales are buying massive amounts. Whenever that happens, there's something going down. Solana's up like almost 5%. Bitcoin's up 3%. XRP up 3%. BNB up 3%. So it's looking green, really green this week. And it's been green for like the past 3-4 days, so that's good. That's a good sign. So here we go. The super trend indicator flipped from sell to buy, and that's a pretty big indicator. And this is the first time since September that this has happened. We're in March, so it's been like 5 months. In the last two instances this happened, BTC moved 52% and 174% upward. So that's a major technical signal. I mean, obviously we don't know if it's going to do any big moves like that, but I mean, just imagine, right? Let's say we do another 52% upturn because we're getting this super trend indicator. I mean, that would put Bitcoin, well over 100K. So, that's wishful thinking. We'll see, but it is a pretty big indicator that we're seeing, and that's bullish, man. That's good to see. ETF inflows, 767 in net inflows in the last week. So tons of money flowing into Ethereum. What else we got? The key levels obviously are 74.4 for Bitcoin, and that opens the path to 80K. So it could happen pretty quickly. If we crack that, we might just shoot to like 80K pretty fast. Stories that matter. What do we got? Ethereum OGs are loading up right now. 60 million plus in whale buys just today. So just today, $60 million in whales are just coming in and swooping up Ethereum. Ethereum has been so low, people have kind of forgotten about it as like a investment coin, like coin that you buy because you want the price to go up because there's been so many other runners that have done better. But Ethereum, it's oversold, man, and that you always want to look for the stuff that's oversold, buy low and sell high, like always. What else we got here? Japan metaviz. Okay, so Japan. This is another story, and I'll dive a little deeper into this one. Metaplant raises $531 million to become Asia's MicroStrategy. So now you have massive companies in Asia that are basically following the blueprint of MicroStrategies. Buy as much Bitcoin as you can. Let's just get as much Bitcoin as we can. Hold on, someone's calling me. I'll read it below. Tokyo-listed Metaplanet raised $251 million institutional investors and structured warrants that could unlock $531 million total, all earmarked for buying Bitcoin. So you got MicroStrategies popping up all over the world now, and it's going to continue. What do you think that means for the price of Bitcoin? What do you think that means? Everybody in the world wants it right now. And now the smart guys, like I wish to God I had that game plan, 10 years ago, what MicroStrategies and Michael Saylor are doing. And now the whole world's catching up, right? It's like, I remember the days when he was being laughed at when he was doing it. And all us Bitcoin guys are like, you guys can laugh now, but we've been laughed at our whole, trust me, if you've been in the game for 10 plus years like I have, the first 5 years, everybody's laughing at me. I was doing Coinbros stuff, we're doing the music. Dude, everyone around me was like, what are you guys doing? Like, what are you, this imaginary nonsense money? And now every single one of them wants to get in, right? And we're seeing it. It's like ahead of his time. He knew what he was doing, just been buying. People are following suit, and the whole world's going to follow suit. That's how Bitcoin gets to $1 million one day. When everybody wants it and needs it, it's finite. There's only probably 17, 18 million in circulation ever. And the halvenings come in and it just keeps going up. So, yeah, you should probably have a little Bitcoin. I'm not saying you need a whole one, but just get a little bit, just hold on to it. Not financial advice, of course. Strategy bought 7. Okay, so speaking of MicroStrategies, Michael Saylor added another $1.57 billion into Bitcoin last week. So they bought another 18,000 Bitcoin. They are trying to get that whole supply, man. They're like the greedy guys that just want to get, 10% of a coin. And they're doing it. They're getting as much as they can. And they're going to probably rule the world one day. So follow the big money. Okay. And story number 4, Cambridge study. Bitcoin's physical infrastructure is far more resilient than we thought. So there's a study in Cambridge saying, basically everybody's saying, whenever things start looking good, everyone comes out of the woodworks and talks about how good everything is, right? Oh, we just realized that, Bitcoin's infrastructure is far more resilient. It's like, yeah, when things are green and everybody wants it, all of a sudden people pay attention. So you want to be the guy that's early on everything. Meme coin watch. We have, there's been a lot of meme coins that have been running, not like insane heights, but in the trenches, which is like the Solana trenches where you're playing with these low market cap tokens. Man, there's a lot of gains there. If you got to be very patient, you got to know what you're doing. But if you want gains in this industry, that's where you're going to get them, especially if you're playing with smaller amounts of money. You can't go into a low cap meme coin with a lot of $5,000. You go in with a couple $100, hoping to turn it to $5,000, right? And then maybe higher if you get into a really good one. So and most people don't have crazy amounts of money to be throwing around, right? So if you're trying to work your stack up, you're trying to figure out how do I turn this $1,000 into 10 so I can actually do some things in the market. The degen side of things it's where you're going to get your gains. It's riskier. You gotta really be tapped in, but it is where you go if you have a smaller bag and you want to try to go up the levels, man, because there's levels to this, right? You want to get to the point where you're sitting on a couple Bitcoin or sitting on 10 Bitcoin. Then you can make big investments on things that are a little safer or whatever, right? There's different strategies. But, the degen side of things, it's always going to be where the most action is. It's always going to be where you can get the most multiples, but it's also the most risky. So it's also where you can lose everything very quickly too, especially if you have an addictive personality, you like to gamble. It's probably a place that you got to really make sure you want to jump into because it's a madhouse and it's the funnest place in the world, but you got to be careful out there. And we will talk a lot more about, because I'm a degen. Like my other Coinbros brothers, they're not as degen as me. I'm a degen as hell. I love the trenches. I love meme coining. I love big gains, bro. I like throwing $1,000 in and making 50,000. I live for it. I also love Bitcoin. Most of my big money's in Bitcoin. I just sit. I don't do anything with it. But I like to do stuff. I don't want to just sit there and watch my Bitcoin just chill, bro. I want to freaking add to the stack. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to talk a hell of a lot more about meme coins and degen stuff. We're going to hit you with every side of it, right? Whatever's popping off, we're going to give you guys the info. We will be opening groups up and stuff so we can dive a little deeper. I'm obviously not going to be putting out, token addresses on YouTube videos, but unless it's something I just really think is a big, big token. But we will give you guys all the information you want. Anyway, make sure you guys like, subscribe, and the oil's going up. So we're dealing with the war. I don't want to dive too deep into the war anymore right now because I'm going to be talking about it for the next few weeks a lot, and I'm sure not everybody wants to hear about that. But the bottom line is oil prices are going to skyrocket. They're talking about $200 a barrel, which is double what we're at right now. If you know anything about the war, there's a lot going on with the Straits of Hormuz, where all of the world's energy and 30% of the world's fuel and oil, and it's not just gas, right? That affects travel, that affects fertilizer, things around the whole world. And I live in Vegas and everything has to be shipped in. So places like Vegas where things are all shipped in, if gas prices start getting affected, then everything around, the food gets brought in, everything starts getting affected. So you could see prices on things go up a lot higher if things don't get resolved quicker. So let's just hope for a quick resolution and we don't have to worry about that. But on the flip side, if things go kind of crazy in the world, crypto is always going to take off. When people are stuck at home or uncertain and there's fear, crypto just tends to go crazy. Everybody's looking for a way to make some extra money. They're sitting at home. Maybe they can't travel because gas prices are crazy, so they're on their computer. and you see like a COVID happen all over again. With COVID, things went insane. Like that was the craziest run ever. And there's always the silver lining in everything, right? So let's just hope for the best on everything. And yeah, so that's the daily wrap up. Much love, you guys. Be nice to each other. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, and we'll be back tomorrow with an update. Peace.